My name is Kendrick Williams. For 12 years, I was the head of procurement at Summit Supplies. That's a fancy title that meant I bought everything the company needed, from paper clips to industrial forklifts, without ever wasting a dime. I built our system from the ground up. I knew every vendor, every price, every contract clause. I saved the company millions. I was good at my job. Until the day I wasn't, according to Mr. Sterling. Mr. Sterling was the CEO. He walked into my office on a Tuesday morning with his son, Julian, trailing behind him. Julian was 22. He had just graduated with a degree in business innovation, whatever that means. He wore a suit that cost more than my car. "Kendrick," Mr. Sterling said, not even saying hello first. "We're making some exciting changes. Julian is taking over as Director of Strategic Procurement. Effective immediately." I looked from the CEO to his smirking son. My office suddenly felt very small. Taking over? What does that mean for my position? "It means we're restructuring," Mr. Sterling said, like he was reading from a script. "Your role is being phased out. We need fresh, dynamic thinking. Julian has incredible ideas about streamlining our vendor relationships." I felt my heart drop into my stomach. "Mr. Sterling, with all respect, I've managed our vendor relationships for 12 years. Our costs are down 18% since I took over. We have perfect audit scores." "That's the old way of thinking, Kendrick," Julian chimed in. He looked around my organized office like it was a museum. "It's all about agility now. Moving fast. Disrupting the legacy processes." He called my life's work a legacy process. Like it was an old computer to be thrown away. "Julian will need your full cooperation during the transition," Mr. Sterling said. "You'll train him on all your systems and vendor contacts this week. HR has your severance package. 2 weeks pay. 2 weeks. After 12 years. I had a mortgage. I was helping my nephew with his engineering school books. My mind raced with numbers that weren't about office supplies. "I built those systems," I said, my voice quieter than I wanted it to be. "And we appreciate that," Mr. Sterling said, but his tone said the opposite. "But the summit is moving forward. We'll need your keycard and company laptop by the end of day Friday." They left me standing there. I looked at the framed Employee of the Year award on my wall from just 2 years ago. I guess my year is over. The training week was a joke. Julian didn't want to learn. He wanted to lecture. He called my detailed contract files bloat. He said my 3-bid minimum rule for any purchase over $10,000 was slow and inefficient. "Why talk to 3 people when one guy gives you a good vibe?" he asked me, serious as a heart attack. "Because that vibe could cost the company $60,000, I replied, trying to stay calm. He just waved his hand. "That's a risk we take for innovation." He spent most of the time on his phone, texting. He changed all my secure vendor passwords to something more memorable. He deleted my master spreadsheet tracking contract renewal dates, calling it visual clutter. On my last day, Friday, I handed over my keycard and laptop to a stern woman from HR. As I packed my personal things into a cardboard box, my coffee mug, a photo of my sister and nephew, Julian swaggered in. "Don't worry, Kendrick," he said, leaning in my doorway. "I'm going to take this department to the next level. You'll probably read about it online." "I'm sure I will," I said. I didn't look at him. I took one last glance at the system login screen on my now wiped computer. I saw he had already changed the password. I hoped he remembered it. For the first 2 months I was lost. I applied for jobs, but at my level and my age it was tough. I used up my savings. I started driving for a delivery service on weekends to make ends meet. It was humbling. I'd managed a multi-million-dollar budget, and now I was double-checking apartment numbers for food orders. I still had friends at Summit. My old assistant Malik would call me sometimes, his voice low like he was in a spy movie. "It's a disaster over here, Kendrick," he whispered during one call. "Julian canceled our contracts with 3 of our biggest paper and packaging suppliers. He said their websites looked outdated. He found new vendors online. No bids. He just signed the deals." My professional heart seized. "Malik, those were our most reliable vendors. We had locked in prices for 2 more years." "I know. The new guy he picked for copy paper? The first shipment arrived and it jams every printer in the building. And it cost 20% more." I closed my eyes. This was exactly what my systems were meant to prevent. A month later, Malik called again. He was upset. "They let me go today. Julian said he didn't need an assistant, he needed a vision partner, or something. He's hired 2 of his friends from college as procurement consultants. They sit in your old office and play video games most of the day. I felt sick for him. Malik was saving for his wedding. What about the quarterly inventory audit? I asked. It's next week. Oh, he optimized that too, Malik said, his voice thick with anger. He said physical inventory counts are for dinosaurs. He's using some new app that just scans barcodes when stuff arrives. He says it updates in real time. No one has checked the warehouse in months. The warehouse, where we kept over $1 million in high-value electronics, tools, and specialty equipment for our service teams. A cold dread started to build in my stomach. Then the news broke. I saw the headline online on a Tuesday morning. Summit Supplies reports massive Q3 loss, blames supply chain disruptions. I clicked the article. My old company was in freefall. The stock price had dropped 40%. The article quoted Mr. Sterling saying they were facing unforeseen market challenges. But the comments section told a different story. Former employees, maybe even Malik, were whispering the truth. They talked about a rogue procurement director and phantom inventory. They mentioned a luxury company retreat to Las Vegas that Julian had approved for his department, calling it a vendor synergy summit. This wasn't a supply chain problem. This was a Julian problem. My phone rang. It was a number I didn't know, but the area code was for the city. Hello? Kendrick? Kendrick Williams? It was a man's voice, deep and serious. Yes. Who is this? My name is Walter Jenkins. I'm the chairman of the board at Summit Supplies. We met at the holiday party 2 years ago. I remembered him. A tall, older man with kind eyes who had actually thanked me for my work. I remember, Mr. Jenkins. What can I do for you? We need your help. We need you to come back. Just as a consultant. To look at the books, the procurement records. Something is terribly wrong. I looked around my small apartment. I thought about my bills. I thought about Julian and his good vibes purchasing. What about Julian Sterling? I asked. There was a long pause. Julian is no longer with the company. Neither, I'm afraid, is his father. The board asked for Mr. Sterling's resignation this morning. This mess happened on his watch. I let that information sink in. The CEO was gone. His son was gone. And they wanted me to clean it up. What do you need me to do? I asked. Walking back into the Summit building felt strange. I didn't have my old keycard. Walter Jenkins himself met me at the front desk and gave me a temporary pass. The place was quiet like after a storm. He took me straight to the boardroom. 5 serious-looking people sat around the big table. They were the board of directors. They looked tired and worried. Thank you for coming, Mr. Williams, Walter said. We need you to perform a forensic audit of the procurement department. From the day you left until now. We need to know where the money went, what's missing, and how deep this goes. One of the women, a board member named Evelyn, slid a thick file toward me. We've already frozen all department accounts. But the initial reports are shocking. We think there's over $2 million in unaccounted spending. And our warehouse inventory lists show items that our service teams say they haven't had in stock for months. I opened the file. I saw invoices from companies I'd never heard of. I saw purchase orders for thousands of dollars of consulting services, with no details. I saw the receipt for the Las Vegas trip. It was all signed by Julian Sterling. I'll need full access, I said, to every server, every email account, every digital file. And I need the keys to the warehouse. You'll have it, Walter said. Whatever you need. I set up in my old office. Julian's friends were gone, of course. The place was a mess. Empty energy drink cans, fast food wrappers. I cleared a space and got to work. I started with the digital files. Julian had created a whole new filing system. It made no sense. I found invoices for office plants that cost $500 each. I found a subscription for a data analytics platform that no one in the company used. It cost $10,000 a month. But the big stuff was hidden. He had created fake vendor profiles in our payment system. He would issue a purchase order to a fake company, and the money would be sent to a bank account. Then a few days later, the same amount would be refunded to a different account. It was a shell game. He was moving money around to hide how much he was stealing. I followed the digital trail for hours. My old skills came back to me. I was a detective and the numbers were my clues. After 2 days on the computers, I needed to see the warehouse. I took the keys and went down to the basement level. The smell hit me first. It was damp and stale. I flipped on the lights. The giant room was a disaster. Boxes were ripped open. Expensive networking equipment was just sitting on the floor, not on the shelves. I walked down the aisles, comparing what I saw to the inventory list on my tablet. The list said we had 50 high-end industrial laser levels. I found 3. The list said we had a pallet of specialized copper wiring. I found empty space. I kept walking, my anger growing. In the far corner I found it. A whole section was filled not with company supplies, but with boxes of new sneakers, stacks of expensive jackets still in store plastic, and even several flat-screen TVs. They were all purchases Julian had made with company money, pretending they were office furniture or team incentive gifts. He was using Summit as his personal shopping mall. I spent a week building my case. I created a new master spreadsheet just like my old one. This one didn't track savings. It tracked losses. It tracked theft. Column A, fake vendor name. Column B, invoice amount. Column C, bank account where money was sent. Column D, real product, if any, sneakers, TV, Vegas hotel. By the end of the week, my spreadsheet was a map of a crime scene. The total in the invoice amount column was staggering. On Friday, I asked to meet with the board again. I brought my laptop and a printed summary. The situation is worse than you thought, I began. I projected my spreadsheet on the big screen. Julian Sterling didn't just make bad deals. He systematically stole from the company. I showed them the fake vendors. I showed them the luxury goods in the warehouse. I showed them the payments to his friends for consulting. The total direct loss from fraud is approximately $1.8 million, I said. The room was dead silent. But the indirect losses are worse. He canceled our good contracts, so we're overpaying for basic supplies by about 30%. He destroyed our relationship with reliable vendors. And because our service teams don't have the equipment they need, projects are delayed. That's hurting our reputation and will cost us future business. Walter Jenkins put his head in his hands. How did we not see this? Because his father protected him, Evelyn said sharply. And because he got rid of the one person who would have stopped him. She looked at me with respect. The board voted that same day. They decided to press criminal charges against Julian Sterling. They would also sue the former CEO, Mr. Sterling, for failing in his duty to protect the company. The news would break on Monday. After the meeting, Walter asked me to stay. Kendrick, we have a massive problem. The department is in ruins. We have no reliable supplies, our inventory is a lie, and our service teams are stuck. We need to rebuild. And we want you to do it. I was stunned. As a consultant? As the vice president of operations, he said. A new position. You would oversee procurement, inventory, and logistics. You would report directly to the board. You would have the authority to fix this your way. No interference. It was the job I should have had years ago. It was a huge responsibility. And it was the ultimate proof that I had been right all along. I thought about my empty savings account. I thought about the delivery driving. I thought about Julian calling my life's work legacy processes. I'll do it, I said. On 2 conditions. Name them. First, I hire my own team. I want Malik back with a promotion and a raise. I want people who understand work, not just vibes. Done. And the second. I need a budget to fix the warehouse. And I want to be the one to call our old vendors and apologize. We need to rebuild trust, and it has to start with me. Walter smiled for the first time since I'd returned. Consider it done. Welcome back, Vice President Williams. My first official act was calling Malik. He whooped with joy when I offered him the job as Director of Inventory Management. He started the next day. Together we walked through the warehouse again. We made a real inventory list, counting every single item. It took 3 days. We found more of Julian's hidden purchases, designer watches, a fancy espresso machine. Should we sell this stuff? Malik asked, holding up a pair of expensive basketball shoes. No, I said. It's evidence. The police will want it. After that, the company can sell it and try to get some money back. We locked all of it in a secure cage. My next task was the hardest. I had to call our old vendors. The ones Julian had insulted and fired. My first call was to Mr. Alvarez at Allied Paper. We'd worked together for 10 years. I took a deep breath and dialed. Allied, this is Maria. Hi Maria, it's Kendrick Williams. From Summit Supplies. Is Mr. Alvarez available? There was a long pause. Hold please. When Mr. Alvarez came on, his voice was cold. Kendrick, I heard you left. I did. But I'm back. In a new role. And I'm calling to personally apologize for how our company treated you. The person who canceled our contract did not speak for Summit. He no longer works here. What he did was wrong and I am truly sorry. Mr. Alvarez was quiet. That young man said our company was analog in a digital world. He was wrong, I said firmly. Your reliability and your quality are why we worked together for a decade. I'm asking for a chance to earn back your trust. I have a new purchase order if you're willing to consider it, at our old agreed-upon prices. He was quiet for so long I thought he'd hung up. Email me the order, Kendrick. Let's see if we can start again. It wasn't a full yes, but it was a start. I made 20 calls like that week. Rebuilding the systems was next. I brought back my 3-bid rule. I rebuilt the master contract calendar so we'd never miss a renewal date. I erased Julian's stupid, memorable passwords and set up real security. Malik and I interviewed and hired a new team. We found people who cared about details, who weren't afraid of spreadsheets, who asked smart questions. We did not ask about their vibes. After a month, the department was starting to look and function like a real business unit again. The waste stopped. The correct supplies started flowing to our service teams. The phone calls from angry project managers slowed down. 6 weeks after I returned, the criminal case was all over the news. CEO's son charged with embezzlement. Former Summit CEO sued by board. There was a photo of Julian looking very different from his first day in my office. No smirk, just fear. The board held a press conference. Walter Jenkins stood at the podium. The failure was one of leadership and oversight, he said. But the recovery is being led by someone with unmatched integrity and skill. We are fortunate that Kendrick Williams has returned to Summit to restore stability and trust. My phone blew up with messages from old colleagues, friends, even reporters. I didn't give any interviews. My work was my statement. At the end of my second month as VP, Walter asked for a progress report in the boardroom. This time the mood was different. Hopeful. I presented my new spreadsheets. These showed savings, not losses. I showed them our new clean warehouse inventory, verified by a third-party auditor. I showed them the signed contracts with our old vendors, now locked in for 3 years with good terms. The bleeding has stopped, I said. We are not just fixing the problems Julian created. We are building a system stronger than the one he destroyed. It will take another quarter to fully recover, but the path is clear. Evelyn, the board member, nodded. The contrast is staggering. It proves that competence, experience, and ethics are not legacy concepts. They are the foundation of a healthy business. After the meeting, Walter handed me a formal offer letter for the VP role. It was permanent, with a salary that made my head spin, and a bonus plan based on the savings I achieved. I signed it right there. A few days later, I was in my new office, bigger with a view, when my assistant said I had a visitor. It was Mr. Sterling, the former CEO. He looked old and deflated. The powerful man who fired me was gone. Kendrick, he said. Can I sit for a moment? I nodded to the chair in front of my desk. What can I do for you, Mr. Sterling? He didn't look at me. He looked at his hands. I came to apologize. To you specifically. I was wrong. I let my love for my son blind me to what was right for this company. I dismissed your value. I called your careful work a weakness. I see now it was the company's greatest strength. I listened. I didn't say anything. I've lost everything, he continued, his voice breaking. My job, my reputation, a fortune in the lawsuit. My son is facing prison. And I have to live knowing that my bad judgment caused it all. I just wanted you to know that I know what I did. I felt a pang of pity, but it was distant. Thank you for the apology, Mr. Sterling. I accept it. But the people you should really worry about are the employees whose jobs you put at risk, and the shareholders who trusted you. He nodded, stood up, and left quietly. I didn't watch him go. A year later, Summit Supplies was stronger than ever. Our stock price had recovered and then grown. My department was the model of efficiency. We won an industry award for Most Improved Supply Chain. Malik was thriving in his new role. He had bought a house. He brought his daughter to the office sometimes, and I kept toys in my drawer for her. I hired Julian's replacement, a sharp, hard-working man in his 40s who had been overlooked at his last job because he wasn't a cultural fit. He was perfect for us. One afternoon, I was walking through the spotless, perfectly organized warehouse with Malik. Everything was in its place, labeled, scanned into the real-time system he had built. You know, Malik said, sometimes I think about that first day Julian walked in. How he looked at this place like it was beneath him. I think about it too, I said. I ran my hand along a shelf holding expensive, calibrated equipment. He thought this was just a room full of stuff. He didn't understand that this is the heartbeat of the company. You can't run a business without the right tools in the right place at the right price. He thought he could just vibe his way through, Malik laughed. And he vibed his way right into the courtroom, I said. But I didn't say it with anger anymore. Just with certainty. Slow and steady didn't just win the race. It rebuilt the entire track. And this time I was the one in charge of making sure it was built to last.